Hello everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Unwind and Knit with me. This is episode 30 and it's Wednesday the 2nd of November. My name is Lisa and I'm coming to you from Christchurch, which is in the South Island, New Zealand, Aotearoa. Welcome back to all my existing viewers. Thank you, and if you're new to my channel, I hope you enjoy it. Please subscribe and give it the thumbs up and all of those good things. That would be greatly appreciated. So thank you and welcome back. Today I feel a little bit unorganised. I've only got 7-8 days to go before I head away for a month. My husband and I are heading overseas to Europe. For him, it's a business trip, but we've added a bit of recreational time into the trip, and I'll talk a bit more about that. You can follow me on Instagram as Unwind and Knit with me, also Facebook. But what we do have now is a community Facebook group, which is Unwind and Knit. So please feel free to come along and join into that group. You can post your projects, you can interact with other members on that group. You will be asked to answer 3 questions, very basic questions, agreeing to the terms and conditions, which is really just being polite and being nice and kind. So yeah, come over and join us on that community Facebook group. I think that's all for the introductions. I've got the doors open today. It's actually 26 degrees here in Christchurch, and it's the 4th consecutive day, I think, that we've been in the mid-20s. And my house actually gets quite hot. It's a beautiful warm house in the winter, and it's been built for the winter and the colder weather. But when you get consecutive hot days, it actually really heats up, which I don't mind. I'd rather be hot than cold. But yeah, I've had to have a bit of air circulation in here today. But hey, I'm not complaining. I know some people do complain. It's too hot, I can't sleep. For me, it's great. I just love the heat. So yeah, opposite to all of you viewers that are coming, that are joining me from the Northern Hemisphere, where you're going into your winter. And that's where I'm heading. I'm heading into a European winter. So what I'm wearing. So funny story, in my wardrobe I have 3 big shelves that are just all my knitwear, and there's some up on the top shelf that I just don't wear anymore. But I went through them and I found this. I think this was my very first ranunculus, and it's probably a couple of years old, and I haven't worn it because it just got lost up in the top shelf with the things that I don't wear. I knitted this, and I'm just going by memory here. I hope I've got it right. I think it was Blue Sky Fibres, and it's a fingering weight, and I think it was a merino, but I think there's some silk in it. So it's really lightweight and airy, and yeah, I'm glad I found it. So that's what I'm wearing. Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure it was my first ranunculus. And I have been featuring some of my other knitwear. So hanging up behind me is the Kuutar tee by Sari Nordlund. And I actually really enjoy wearing that top. It's top down, it's in the round, and it's got lacework yoke. And if my memory serves me right, I knitted that in cotton. It was a DK weight cotton, but it does have a nice drape and summery feel to it. Sari Nordlund, she's also done the Kuutar sweater, which I have in my folder of patterns. And so it's the same lacework yoke, but she features some of that same lacework in the cuffs of the long sleeve. So that's a really nice pattern as well. I didn't mention, which I should have in the introduction, I leave a copy in my show notes of everything I talk about. So there will be every pattern that I talk about what I'm wearing, what I'm featuring, I leave the links that will take you directly to that pattern in Ravelry. And I also leave links of any yarn that I talk about. Yeah, because basically that's all I talk about is my yarn and my knitting and my patterns. But I am following notes, so bear with me. Like I said, I really wanted to podcast today, and I feel like I've got a whole lot to talk about, but not a real lot of knitting to show you. So I hope you've got a cup of tea or a iced tea or an iced coffee, a beverage, and I hope you've got your knitting with you. I like to think of this as being like knit group for people that can't actually get to knit group and just want to be part of this amazing knitting community that I feel that I'm part of. So I do hope you've got your knitting. I actually, before I started podcasting, I thought I really need a coffee, but it was too hot to have a coffee. And my daughter put me onto this. So it's actually a shot of coffee, a double shot espresso. And then there's a shot of caramel syrup, which is a bit naughty. And then I've topped that up with oat milk and ice blocks. And it's really, really yummy. So you've got the coffee, you've got the milk, but you've got the sweetness of the caramel syrup. So that's my beverage. I normally drink black coffee. I don't do dairy well, but yeah, I've got oat milk in that. That's really yummy. So you should try that. Yeah, a shot of coffee and a shot of caramel. I think it's called a caramel latte or an iced caramel latte. That's what I'm drinking. The other thing I wanted to mention too, in my last podcast, I touched on gauge. And I did say that I'm not an expert at gauge. I do always do a swatch because I love to see the fabric. Before I knit a garment, I like to see how airy it is, or whether it's drapey, or whether it's too tight or too loose. But I did have a couple of people come through and correct me, and I do appreciate that. So I just wanted to touch on when you do your swatch, and I know a lot of you already know this, but I just thought I would mention it because it's a correction from my last podcast. If you have too many stitches in your 10 centimeters, if you have too many, then you go up a needle. Too many stitches, you go up a needle size. So then the stitches are bigger and you have less of them. If you do not have enough stitches in your 10 centimeters, then you go down a needle size, because then the stitches will be smaller and there will be more stitches in that 10 centimeter swatch. So yeah, too many, you go up, not enough, you go down. I hope I've got that right. The other thing too that I thought I'd mention, and I did forget, I did want to mention it in my last podcast, and it's referring to gauge. And quite often for a classic for me is Andrea Mowry. I love her patterns. I just adore them, but I never get the gauge that she gets. And I think sometimes, I know that she knits continental and I knit English style, and I think that can affect gauge a lot. And also, I know myself, my, I think they're stainless steel chalgoo needles. I've also got the chalgoo bamboo needles. And I know when I switch from steel to bamboo that can affect my gauge. So, yeah, that's all I'll say on gauge. It does my head in. But I did, in my last podcast, I showed you this pattern, Fairy Bouquet. And Selma from Little Big Knits has just finished this, and I love it, and hers looks stunning. But it's that pattern there. It's got a beautiful mohair halo, it's got detail on the sleeve, it's got the lacework yoke, and I think it just looks really feminine, and I just really want to knit it, and I love it. But the gauge that I did, I thought I'd be a bit different, and I swatched in this, which is 70% cotton, 30% alpaca, and there's my swatch. But and this is what I suggest you do with your swatch, is actually play with it for a few days, keep it in your handbag, stick it down your bra, see how it reacts against your skin, which is what I did with this swatch. And it's not suitable. It's not suitable for that pattern for me. It's not going to give me the result that I want. So I am going to stick with the original recommendation, and I'm going to get a merino, probably a merino mohair, and hold them double, or a wool mohair for that pattern. So that's another reason I say you should always swatch, is just to see the fabric that you're creating, and you either need to know that you love that fabric or it's not suitable for that pattern, and then you can worry about your stitch gauge and what size you're going to do, and whether you need to go up a needle size or down a needle size. So yeah, I think that's all I'll say about gauge, or else I'll say the wrong thing, and that's never a good thing. I don't think it is. So talked about that. Like I did say, I am off to Europe on Thursday. It's today Wednesday. 8 days away. So this is the last podcast I'll do before I head away, but I am going to record a podcast, and I'm going to schedule it for a couple of weeks. So you will get a podcast from me that I've done in advance. And the reason for that is I have been busy filing away a lot of my patterns, and I've been remarking my folders, and because they were a mess, they were an absolute shambles. So I've actually got a couple of folders that are Andrea Mowry, hoodie Locatelli, Petite knits. I've actually filed them like that, and then I've got miscellaneous ones. But it occurred to me that I have a lot of patterns. We talk about knitting being a bit of an addiction or an obsession, and I often hear people say that buying yarn and having a yarn stash is actually a separate hobby. Well, I also think that buying patterns, and I think that's an obsession as well. So I have got a lot of patterns. So I've gone through them, and I picked out a lot that I would consider to be favourite patterns. A couple I've already done and I want to redo, but there's quite a lot that I haven't done and I really want to do. But in reality, I don't know, you can only fit so many knitting hours into your day. But I thought I really want to share these patterns with you, because although I might not get to knit them in the very near future, it may give you some inspiration or some ideas. So a couple of days I went through, and it's actually embarrassing how many I've got, and even the ones I pulled out, I felt like I even had to dwindle that pile down a bit. But I have gone through and I've marked them, sort of the yarn requirements, the gauge, whether they're top down in the round. I've picked out a few features of each pattern, and I'm going to do a podcast just about patterns. So yeah, I hope you tune in and watch that one. So I will also, though, I'm not going to post a podcast while I'm away. I will take photos and videos. I've got my selfie stick. My husband said, "You're not taking a selfie stick." Oh, yeah, I am. So I've got my selfie stick. So I will post some photos of some yarn shops that I visit and things that I do. I'll post those on Facebook and Instagram. But I really would like to take a few little videos, and I'll include them in my podcast upon my return. So we're going to be spending about 7 days in Bruges in Belgium. I've been there before, and my husband has to work for 3 of those days. 3? No, I think he has to work for the whole week, but he's actually going to be, I think they're flying to Poland, and he's leaving me in Ghent. Not in Ghent, in Bruges. So I have been onto Ravelry, and if you put the city that you're in, it'll bring up all the yarn shops in that city. So I have got a couple of days there that I will wander around and find some yarn stores. And then we're going to Ghent for only, I think, 2 days. and I'll find some yarn stores there. And my husband said, is there anything that you really want to do in these cities? Because we're also going to Austria, Salzburg and Innsbruck. Yep, and then we fly out of, I can't remember, it'll come to me. But anyway, he said to me, is there anything that you really want to do? And I said, yeah, I really want to go to Amsterdam. And he said, oh, and originally said, I don't think we can make that happen. He said, what do you want to go to Amsterdam for? And I said, I want to go to Stephen and Penelope's yarn store. And he just like, are you kidding? Like, you want to go all the way to Amsterdam just to go to a wool shop? I went, well, no, we can do Anne Frank's house, and we can do some museums and some art galleries and the river cruise. And anyway, he thought I was a bit crazy, but he did come home about a week later and he said to me, I think we can make Amsterdam work. So the weekend that he has between his 2 work trips, we're going to get on a train and go to Amsterdam. So I'm sure I won't meet Stephen West. I'm sure he doesn't work in the shop. But I am going to go to the store and I'll take some photos and some videos and I'll share that with you. So I am really, really excited about that. I don't know what I'm going to buy. I don't know. I have got a wee budget just for yarn. But anyway, I'll share that with you when I get back, and hopefully I can stick to my budget. There is a yarn. I follow a few podcasts, European, Canadian and American ones, and there's been a lot of podcasts that have talked about this Nordlund yarn, and it's an unspun yarn, and it's very airy. It's actually unspun, and instead of, they actually refer to it, I think, as a plate of yarn. That's how big it is. Like, they come like that, like a big plate. So yeah, there's a lot of talk about it. I actually don't know if it'll be my thing. I think it's quite it's quite chunky, and but anyway, I'm really keen to find this yarn and have a look at it, and maybe I'll get 1 or 2 just for an accessory. I don't even know what gauge you knit it at or what size needle, but that is one thing I want to find over there is Nordlund yarn. And the other one I want to buy some sock yarn. It's Retrosaria, and it's yarn from Portugal, Portuguese yarn. And they do a few yarns, but they do one called Mondim, and it's a sock yarn. So I do want to find that and buy a couple of, 1 or 2 balls of sock yarn. And the other one that I want to find over there, and these are yarns that we can't get easily here in New Zealand, is, and I hope I'm saying this right, Issachar yarn. And they have a lot of blends. So they have like alpaca cotton, cotton linen, wool mohair. So I'm really keen to have a look at some of their yarns. And I'm actually thinking if I can find the right wool mohair blends, I might buy a sweater quantities worth for my fairy bouquet. Because I do really want to do this, and it would be nice to buy a really special yarn to do it in. And I see my yarn purchases when I travel almost as being my souvenir shopping. And that's what I said to my husband, I don't need souvenirs, I just need wool. So quite often you can refer that garment that you've knitted in that wool back to that trip, and you think, oh yeah, I can remember buying that yarn in, in Amsterdam or Salzburg or whatever city that we're in. So yeah, there are a couple of the yarns that I want to find. Nordlund, Retrosaria and Issachar. I know that Stephen and Penelope have their own ranges of yarn that are exclusive to their name. So I will be keen to check some of those out. I've just got a courier man drove past my window. I think I've got a parcel. I'll be back in one moment. Okay, I'm back. It wasn't the parcel I was hoping it was going to be. You've probably seen, if you follow me, my leather project bags. That one's the bucket bag. And my stock is really low, and I'm expecting a new order, and I'm really hoping it arrives before I go away. Yeah, so when I'm away, my online store will operate as normal, but my daughter will be looking after it for me. But I don't think she will, she probably won't know how to add stock into the system and do those finer details. So I've got my fingers crossed. I've still got a week that delivery will arrive before I go. I think I'm down to only about 5 bags. So anyway, my delivery, like completely opposite end of the spectrum, was a pair of socks. So I had a voucher. Both my husband and I wear a lot of Icebreaker, which is a brand, and it's all merino wool from here in New Zealand. And I had a voucher for $25, which I wanted to use, but I didn't want to spend money on any more garments that I didn't need. So I used it to buy a pair of socks, which will come in handy. Like I said, I'm going into a European winter. So yeah, that was my parcel, a pair of socks. How disappointing. Anyway, okay, let's get on to it. I had a visitor. I'll talk about that now. I had a visitor, and she's been a viewer of my podcast, I think, from the beginning, and she travels a lot overseas. She can spend lots of months traveling overseas, and she reached out to me and said that she loves watching my podcast when she's away, and it just, you know, is company for her in hotel rooms while she's knitting. And it was really nice to hear. She said that I've inspired her to get back into knitting, and it was just a really nice thing that she reached out, and she bought me a gift. And I can't believe it, because you probably know I don't have any sponsors, or I don't get paid. I do this purely out of the love of knitting and the love of wanting to share my knitting with you. So yeah, I don't get any freebies at all. And she bought me this gift, and I was so overwhelmed. And she bought this on her travels, a skein of hand-dyed yarn from Prague. I can't believe it. So that's Prague. It's in the Czech Republic, and it's just beautiful. So yeah, it's the Yarn Queen in Prague, and it's just this beautiful sock yarn. And I've really wanted to wind this into a cake, because I'm going to take this away with me to knit a pair of socks as a small project when I'm away. But it's 75% merino, 25% nylon. Yeah, and I'm assuming the yarn is from the Czech Republic. But I was just so thrilled to receive that gift, and to think that in her travels she thought of me, and she brought that home to New Zealand for me. So I'm pretty sure I have shown you this pattern before, but I've always just knitted like vanilla socks, toe-up socks with a difference, very basic socks. This one is called Fairground Feet by Paintbox Yarns. I'm pretty sure this was a free pattern from lovecrafts.com. I will leave the link. I have talked about this pattern before, and I've left the link before, but they're the socks there, and I really want to knit them because they've got that little bit of interest there. Yeah, so that's the pattern I'm going to take away with me. And now that I've shown you that beautiful yarn in its skein, I'm going to cake it up, and I'm going to cast on a pair of socks with that. And I can't wait. I'm really excited. I haven't knitted many socks for several months, actually. I think the last pair of socks I knitted was for my daughter's boyfriend's birthday. And the other gift I got was a friend of mine who's quite excited for me with my travels. She's been to a lot of the countries that I'm going to, so we've talked a lot about it. But she knows that I love fingerless mittens. which I really do. And she knitted me these beautiful fingerless mitts. And I'll tell you, the name of the pattern is Cloudburst, and she's done them in a finger in weight and a lace mohair held together, and they're just so pretty. And I just love them. I just love fingerless mitts, and these will be perfect on days where it's cold but not freezing. I have got a full pair of wool gloves for cold days, but I was just so thrilled to receive this gift. She brought them over for me last week. So yeah, I just really felt a bit spoiled to get 2 gifts in 1 week. And I actually received a 3rd gift. A designer sent a pattern through to me. So I was thrilled about that as well. So I'll share that with you shortly. Yeah, sorry, I'm just working through a list. So yeah, they were my 2 gifts, which was wonderful. So this lady that returned, Marie Lynn her name is, and she returned from overseas, and she came to my shop when it was open, and we had a good old chat. And she actually introduced me to a couple of patterns, and I wanted to share them with you because I do get quite excited. So this one here that she shared with me, and I've just only quickly printed this off from home. I haven't got down to the printers to get a colour copy, but it's called the Melody Sweater, and it's lace work yoke. It's, you know, it is what it is, but I do really like it. But it's from, and I'm going to pronounce this, eweknits, E-W-E, I'm assuming is U, that's how we would pronounce it. So eweknits. So this is eweknits based in Toronto, Canada. And so I got on to get this pattern, and then I fell down that Ravelry rabbit hole, and I wanted to share this with you. So when I read down, they are running, so you actually can go onto their website, and if you sign up to their newsletter, follow them on Instagram and share with them your Ravelry handle name, they will send you a free pattern. And the free pattern is, it's a dream sweater is what it's called, and I don't have a copy of it. But the dream sweater is, I'm pretty sure it's a DK colour work top down, but it's a free pattern, and what they're running is a knit along from the 5th of November to the 15th of December, and they have huge prizes. Like the first prize is $1,000 gift certificate, and then there's I think there's 5 $100 vouchers, but I'm not going to sign up to it because I'm going to be away, and I'm not going to knit a sweater. I know I'm not. But I just thought I'd share that with you. If you want to jump over, have a look at their patterns. Have a look at their, go onto Ravelry, onto the Dream Sweater, and then there's a link there that will take you to their website, and you enter all your details, and 2 days later that pattern, the free download appeared for that Dream Sweater. So yeah, the Dream Sweater, it's DK. I have got it, but like I said, I haven't printed it out yet. 18 stitch gauge, and it's just a lovely free pattern. Who doesn't love a free pattern? So I'll leave the link for that. Eweknits, and they're based in Toronto in Canada. But the one that I was really interested in was this Melody Sweater, but I might share that with you because I haven't got the yarn for it. I'm not going to cast it on anytime soon, so I'll put that one aside. But I did want to share that with you. And the other designer that she alerted me to is also a Canadian designer, and her name is Tiff Neilan, Neilan, and Tiff just T-I-F. Jump onto Ravelry and have a look. You can look up just the designer, and all of her patterns will appear. And I did write some notes. Maybe I didn't write some notes. Maybe I just had them in my head. But her patterns are lovely. She uses a lot of sort of earthy tones, and that's the pattern that I got. It's called Brush Strokes. And I really, really like that pattern. I would add a bit more length to the body. That's quite cropped, but I love, I just love that sort of lace work and colour work on top. But if you're looking for a new designer to tempt you, her name is Tiff Neilan, and I will leave the links below for that as well. And I have two other patterns that come my way. So a friend showed me this, so I jumped on and bought it. And it's very different to anything I would ever knit or wear. But the more I looked at it and the whole idea and the concept behind it, I really liked it. And I'm hoping, my pronunciation, it always bothers me if I pronounce things wrong. But it's called Bonbec. That's it there. And it's basically just a hoodie and a cowl. And I don't wear cowls really. But I just really like the idea of a winter's day. You can just fold that back and it's literally just like a scarf or a cowl. But then if it does get cold and you need a beanie, you can just pull it on. And so that's all it is literally just the hoodie and the cowl. And that's called Bonbec. And I will leave the link below. And that is done with, I'm pretty sure it's a 4-ply and a mohair. Held together, and you can see that there's that really nice fluff and halo to it. But I just thought it was really beautiful, and you just tuck that into your coat. So it's another pattern that come my way that I wanted to share with you. And the next one was actually a free gift. So this is my third free gift that gift that I've been gifted in 1 week. Can't believe it. I've been doing this a year and I've never been gifted anything, so this was really exciting. So I have spoke about this designer before. She's a Kiwi designer and her name's Bronwyn, and she's from Good To Go Knits Designs, and she knits a lot of accessories, beanies, shawls, scarves. There might be some gloves, I don't know, but a lot of accessories. And she has just published this pattern, and it's called the Quartet hat. And I know there's literally thousands of beanie patterns out there, but I like this one. It's just got a wee point of difference. So it's very gender neutral. I have made a few notes. It's very gender neutral. It's reversible. It has a brim, so you can wear it with the brim turned up for the warmth around your ears, or you can fold the brim down and wear it a bit like a slouchy beanie. And the pattern has been written for fingering, DK and worsted. So you choose the yarn that you want to do it in and off you go. So that's it there. And I just love the way that I think it's rib, how it just meets in the crown, up at the crown there. Yeah. And I had a look at the pattern, and it's fairly basic. I think every second round you do a slip knit stitch. But yeah, I really like that. So what I've done to prepare for my travels, because of course I'm not going to take all these patterns with me, but I knit from Knit Companion on my iPad, and that really works for me because I can zoom in and enlarge things, and especially if you're working from graphs. So a lot of these patterns, I sat there the other day and I made sure that I've downloaded them from my Ravelry or my Dropbox into my Knit Companion. So all my patterns basically are going to be with me, because I'm away 25 days. That's a lot of days, and you know, I'm going to be in places that I get inspired or by, you know, a single skein and think, oh, I'll cast on a beanie, or, you know, I'll cast on a new shawl. But yeah, so that may be a new cast on when I'm away, because I don't do a lot of beanies, but I do really like that. So I will leave the link below for that, but that's Good to Go Knits. That's a bronze one from Good to Go Knits. So that's that. I talked about that new designer, Tiff Neilan. Yeah, she's a Canadian designer. I wrote some notes. So she loves to do earthy tones, a lot of greens, rusts, and greys are her thing. And she loves colour and texture. So all of those components, earthy tones, colour, texture, all you'll see that in all of her patterns. Yeah, so that's really good. I'm really happy to have been introduced to her. And I'm really enjoying this iced latte. I feel like it's got a bit dark. Sun shining outside. I will just mention too, I've had, and it's only been one or two people come through on my comments telling me that it's really blurry and that I need to use a more high definition camera. And I asked my friends and people that I know watch my podcast, and they say to me, no, Lisa, it's fine. I can't see anything wrong with it. And when I do the editing and I upload it, it's fine on my computer. So I don't use a camera. I use my phone. And I did buy a new phone earlier this year, and I was sort of reassured that the camera in these phones are better than a lot of cameras that you'll actually buy. I do use earpods, so there's better audio. And I also know that on my phone there's a back camera and a front camera. And if I use the back camera, I think that's more high definition. And I've tried that, and I cannot film a podcast using that, because all I'm doing is talking to basically a flashing light. I need to be able to see basically myself, and if I'm showing you yarns and patterns, I need to be able to see all of that. So I don't use the back camera, I use the front camera. So I probably could get a higher definition if I flipped it. But yeah, if you have a problem, or if you have any suggestions, yeah, leave it below. I know a lot of other podcasters that I watch say the same thing. They just use their their phones. I'm not real tech savvy, so I just hope that what you see isn't blurry and that it's clear and audible. I do have, I'm all over the place today. I do actually have an almost finished object. So close to being finished. I sat up to midnight last night with my husband watching cricket, and I really thought I'd get it finished. And like I said to him, we ran out of overs. If there was a couple of more overs in the cricket, I probably would have got it finished. But I have shown you this, I think, in my last podcast. I probably started this a year ago, and it's kind of been sitting in the naughty corner. But it's a Ripple Bralette by Jessie May. That's it there. Now, I have done a longer body, which I will show you. And the yarn I've used is by an indie dyer here in New Zealand called Purple Sprouting. And it's 50-50 silk, 50% silk, 50% merino. And it's beautifully soft, which is what you want, because it's going to be really close to body. And the funny thing is, you're going to look at this and go, really? This looks like it's made for a doll. So that's it there. And it's 3x3 rib, but this stretches right out. And I have tried it on and it fits me. And the length basically sits just on my jeans, like my waist where my jeans would sit. And I'd never wear this on its own. I have knitted it purely as an undergarment for if I've got a shirt that's a bit see-through, or I would probably wear it in the summer with something light and sheer over the top of it. And I have finished one strap, but I haven't sewn it on because I do want to do a final try on to make sure the straps are long enough. And these straps are done, they're I-cord straps, which are a lot of fun. And I don't know if I can show that. I love the way the cast off edge is. It's just, yeah, you can't really see it. It's a beautiful pattern. It's a beautifully well written pattern, and as you go she actually stops and says, okay, just reinforcing, this is what you do in the next step, so there's sort of no confusion. Yeah, I really do recommend it if you want to knit yourself an undergarment, or if I was younger, I'd wear that on its own, and my daughter may even wear it on its own, but I'll wear it as an undergarment, but it could be worn as just a little crop singlet bralette. But that's it there. So if you've got, and that's the other good thing about it, is this is a single skein project. So if you've got that one, I know you have, we all have them, that one special skein of wool that we bought but never eventuated into anything, it's a perfect project for it, because I do think you need special yarn. I think it needs to be a nice soft, you know, something with silk or cashmere. So yeah, dig that single skein out and you can knit yourself a wee singlet or bralette. There's quite a lot of them. If you do an advanced search in Ravelry, there are quite a lot of singlets and tees that you will find that would really work for single skein. Okay, I'm just going to check the light in. Okay, I think it's because I'm looking into the light, it feels a bit dark, but I just played a bit of the video back and it seems to be fine. So I'll keep going and hopefully it's all good when I edit it and upload it. Anyway, a couple of days ago I was thinking about what I was packing and I had a light bulb moment and I thought, oh, I really wish I had like a big mohair warm fluffy cardigan, because I don't have one. And I remember this yarn that I had in my stash, and I bought this not that long ago, it was this year, from Touch Yarns. Now they're based out in Clyde, which is central Otago, which is down south in the Otago region in New Zealand, and they do this beautiful they call it a 12-ply. Yeah, a 12-ply mohair, and it's 70% kid mohair and 20% merino with a 10% binder. But you can just see how beautifully thick and fluffy that is, and I love the color. It's oatmeal, and I bought enough of this to do, I bought a sweater quantity's worth. So I went and dug it out of my stash and thought, now I need a pattern to go with it. So I jumped on to Ravelry and had a play around, and I found this cardigan that I really wish I'd started a month or two ago, because I can't cast it on, and it's not gonna happen before I go away. But I thought I'd share it with you because it is now going to go in my basket of things that I want to knit for next winter. And it's called the Cloud Cardigan, and it's by Knits for Days. But anyway, so it's a V-neck. It's not a long, it's quite cropped, but it has balloon sleeves, which I really love the idea of. So I will show you. So that's it there. Yeah, you can see that. So look at those beautiful balloon sleeves. I don't have anything like that in my wardrobe, and it is also quite a deep V. So here's another picture of it, which is a bit lighter. So for our winter, it would just be a great layering piece. So that's it there. So I will leave the link below if anyone else is interested in doing a V-neck cardigan with balloon sleeves. And it seems like a really well written flat pattern. It is knitted in the flat back and forwards seamless one piece, and then I think you pick up for the sleeves and do the sleeves after. And she does talk a bit there about gauge, what needle size to use, and whether you need to go up a needle size or down a needle size. But yeah, that yarn, Touch Yarns, I'll leave the link below if you want to go and check out their website. But yeah, mohair, 70% mohair, 20% merino. I think it's just like a cloud. It is so scrumptious. Disappointed that I won't have it to wear when I take away, but I really do want to knit it. I think it's definitely on my list of things that I want to knit. And so I'm just going to go through a few whips now, some that I'm going to take away with me and some that I'm not, because what I've had to do, actually I should show you this. This is a knit bag that contains all my needles, all my notions, my stitch markers, my my cords for, stitch on hold cords. And I can't remember what brand it is. It's quite a well-known brand. It's a really, oh, there it is there. It's a Fringe Supply code. And it's quite a big bag. You can see that. It's a big, strong bag. And if we go away in the car, we have a motorhome. If we go away in the motorhome, this is what comes with me, because I know everything is in there that I'm going to need if I just have inspiration to cast on something new, or if, like with this, if I'm down Central Otago and I go into a shop like Touch Yarns, I may buy yarn and just be inspired to cast on something new. So this is what I take with me. There's no way I can take this with me. Like, serious, I'm restricted, as you know, to weight. It's at 20-25 kilo. And to go away for 25 days, it takes a lot of planning. Well, it does for me. Not so much my clothes and toiletries. That's easy. My knitting, it takes a lot of planning about what I'm going to take. So I've managed to dwindle that big bag into this wee little pouch. That's it. That's all I'm taking. And my Chalgu interchangeables. I'm taking my bamboo set because I don't want to risk losing any needles at the airport. I know when I've flown between Australia and New Zealand, it's all good, but I think different airports in different parts of the world all have their own sets of rules. So I bought this set a couple of years ago. There's not much to show you. It's really just the bamboo. So I'll have every size there from a 2.75 up to a 5mm. I've got my cables. So that is really quite lightweight. And I have managed to fit in this little tin everything. I have in here a tape measure. I have all my stitch markers. I have a cable needle. I have these dinky little scissors that a friend has lent me, and the blade is like that big, so they won't get confiscated at the airport. I have everything in that little tin, and in here I've got, so what I've done, they're my knitting cords, my stitch on hold cables. I've managed, I've taken them out of the tin and I've popped them into a wee little plastic bag to save on weight and space. And in here, I haven't got it, but I've got, I'll have my little notebook. I've got my pens, I've got a highlighter, I've got a ruler, I've got all my notions. And that's what I'm taking. And I'm taking this in a knitting bag that is going to be part of my carry-on. So I want this with me in every airport and every train and everywhere I go. This will come with me. So I'm pretty excited that I've managed so far that. Now, the projects that I'm going to take with me. So what I just showed you there is going to fit in this bag. And this is the bag that I'm taking with me. And it's no bigger than a handbag. It fits a lot. It has this straw string top. So nothing's going to fall out. It closes. In this bag, I will have that. And I showed you, I cast on the Half and Half shawl by Pearl Soho. And I did have a couple of people come back in the comments and say to me, it's a big project. It's a big, heavy project once you get halfway through it. And I thought about it and I thought, yeah, maybe it is too big. And I was knitting on it, and I was knitting continental style. I mentioned to you that that was going to be my project, that I was going to learn continental style. And I did, I don't know, about that much. And it actually really bored me. And I thought, I can't take that. Like, if I'm on a plane for hours, I'm going to get really bored just knitting garter stitch back and forwards. So I thought I needed a different project. So you know that recently I did this Stephen West dotted rays. I've shown you that in the last couple of podcasts. So that's the dotted rays shawl. And I really liked it, and I had the yarn put aside to do another one. So I have actually cast it on. It's it there. And I haven't worked on it anymore because I thought that's my travel knitting. So it's easy garter stitch. The pattern's really easy to follow. Like, you can follow it just on a little notepad, your row counts, so you know when to do your colour change and the little eyelets. And it's just enough detail to keep me interested. So that's my feeling on it, where the Half and Half shawl, I just know that I'll get bored. I need something with a little bit more interest. So this is what's coming away with me. So hopefully I'll bring one of these home. The yarn I'm using is Devonia 4-ply, and it's from John Arbon Textiles. And I have this yarn in my shop, and I have talked about it. I think this one's called Willowherb, and this one, I think this is the one called Beetles Wings. And, oh, it's picking it up beautifully. Can you see that iridescent? That bits of sort of pink and green, and it's just got this real iridescent look to it. And in different light, the colour plays. And I just think it's beautiful with this pink, which is called Willowherb. So this is part of the limited edition range, 2022 limited edition range. I'll leave the link for this yarn. They only brought out 3 colours, and that's 2 of the 3. And that's I've made a start, and I'm just loving it. And I have wanted to pick it up and knit it, and I've had to stop myself and say, no, just wait till you get to your first airport. So that's coming away with me. The other project I've got in here that's coming away with me is, I'll get the pattern. I am loving this pattern, and I know for sure I will do this over and over again. So it's the Cumulus Tee by Petite Knits. I love the deep V. I love the I-cord finishing. I just love, it's just the perfect t-shirt. Not t-shirt, it's a tee. So I'm knitting that in Exmoor sock yarn. This colour I think is called Whortleberries. And I'm absolutely loving it. But what I have done, I have got myself to the part where I have divided for the sleeves. It's all rolling up. So can you see that V-neck? Yeah. So I've done the V-neck. I've done the back. I've done all my short rows. I've divided for the sleeves. I've got my sleeves there on my knitting cords. They're also available at my online shop. So I've got my, so all I have to do on this is the body, which is just stockinette stitch. Really easy knitting where I don't have to think, I don't have to count rows, but it will be quite rewarding for me to be knitting on something that I know that I'm going to finish, and I'll probably have this finished by the time I return. And that excites me more than just garter stitch on a shawl that I'm probably not going to finish while I'm away. So, I wish it wasn't curling up. That's my Cumulus tee. And they're the two projects that are going into my bag that I'm going to travel with. And I'm taking this on the plane basically as my handbag. So my husband generally takes care of all the paperwork. I take my own passport and stuff like that, but he carries a lot of the itinerary and that sort of stuff in his carry-on. I have got a backpack which will have everything I want for traveling long-haul flights. And this is the project bag I'm taking. That's yeah, it's actually called the project bag on my website, and that comes in black and tan. So they're my two projects. That's all my needles and my notions that are ready to travel. So I'm really excited about those two projects, and I'm really excited that I've finally been able to get things down to a manageable size without me sort of getting anxiety that I'm leaving something behind that I'm going to need. The reason I'm taking my needle set is because I know I'm going to be tempted. I may buy this Retrosario modem sock yarn and think, oh, I'm going to cast on a new pair of socks. But I don't want to do that because I am going to wind that. That's the other thing that's going to go in my knit bag is this ball of yarn. So if I feel the desire and the need, I'll cast on that new pair of socks. So that's my travel knitting. Yeah, I showed you my tee. I do have a pair of socks here. And I was thinking of taking them with me as well because they're already cast on. I don't know. Now I'm just getting ridiculous. How many pair of socks am I going to knit, right? I'll think about those. Maybe I won't. I have one more pattern that I want to share with you. I had in my wardrobe, which I don't wear anymore, a really little basic cardigan, like a summer cardigan that I can just throw on over a t-shirt when you just need that wee bit of warmth. And I don't wear it anymore, so I've been looking for something to replace it, and this come to my attention. And I think this was a really popular pattern because when I saw it, I knew I'd heard of it, so it's obviously been out there in the knitting podcast world and I've just missed the boat. Maybe I'm just a bit slow, but it's called the Elton cardigan by Locatelli. That's it there, and that's exactly what I want in my wardrobe. Just that light summer weight, 3/4 length sleeves, really lightweight cardigan when you need a lightweight cardigan. And I've had a quick look at the pattern, and she's used a fingering weight and a mohair. And the you can see it kind of is like stripes. So I have in my shop Nurturing Fibres Super Twist sock yarn with matching silk mohair, and I have it in 5 different colors. I have this in 12 colors, but the matching mohair I only have in the 5 colors, and I really like this color's called Aged Leather, and it's just a really nice neutral. I wouldn't call it a brown, I wouldn't call it a beige, I don't know, it just sits there in the middle. And when I saw this pattern, I just knew that that had to be. So I'm not taking it with me. I'm not casting it on. But I just thought I'd share that with you, because when I find a pattern and I find the perfect yarn to go with it, I do tend to bag it up and put it aside, and I like to share it with you. That's why I do this podcast, so I can share all these things with you. And I'm coming to the end of my iced latte. It's actually, like I said, it's about 26 degrees, but here in Christchurch, when it gets this warm, it's what we call a nor'wester. So there's often, I don't know, it's a nor'west wind. I don't know how it works, but we can often get a real dark sky, and then it can rain. And I actually think that's what's going to happen. It's like looking really dark clouds over there. So yeah, I actually like that, you know, a weather bomb, where it's like 1 minute it's beautiful and there's blue sky, and the next minute, bang, it's a big thunderstorm, and then it passes through. I think I've just about covered everything. Like I said, I feel like I didn't have a lot of knitting whips or anything or FOs to show you. But when I started writing notes, I thought, well, I've really got a real lot to talk about, because I wanted to share with you my travels and my trip. I do hope you enjoy seeing any photos that I post on Facebook. So please jump over to our community Facebook group. It's just a real, I think, we've got about 350 people, I think, now. So it's a small group, and it's really friendly, and you can ask questions, and yeah, it's just a nice wee community. Or you can follow me on Instagram as Unwind to Knit with Me, and there's also the regular Facebook page, which is Unwind to Knit with Me. Please, if you haven't already, you can visit my online store, which is unwindandknit.com, and there I have all of the Jameson and Smith. I have John Arbon textiles, Exmoor sock, which is a fingering weight, and the DK Appledore. And behind me is the Yarnadalic, which is sports weight, which is just beautiful, softer skin. I have been really busy, and I have stocked up on all my stitch markers and progress keepers. So they're all available. And I wanted to do that because I know a lot of knit groups have, they have like a secret Santa, or you may just have a special knitting friend that you want to buy a gift for. Perfect. They're perfect Christmas gifts. And also my my knitting cords. They're listed as stitch holding tubes, stitch holding cables. And they come in 2 sizes. And if you haven't already got those in your knitting bag, you really should. They are just amazing. Especially like I showed you with my Cumulus tee, when you divide for the sleeves and you need to put those on hold, they just sit there. It's perfect. So that's all I've got to say about my shop update. My leather project bags have sold really well, so thank you to everyone that's purchased those, and I hope you're loving them as much as I love mine. And I have got a new shipment coming. Hopefully that'll arrive before I leave, and I really look forward to sharing some of my travels and my trip with you. Like I said, for me, it's a long time to be away, 25 days, in a completely different country, in a completely different climate. And I know where we're going, most people do speak English, but it's not their first language. So there is that side to it that's a bit foreign. So excited, a little bit anxious because I'm a homebody and I love my little bubble here. So a little bit anxious about it, but still I'm excited. And I hope that you do enjoy the podcast that I put together for you, that I will schedule to go live probably in about 2 weeks, halfway between now and when I know I'm going to do my next podcast upon my return. Once again, thank you to everyone that's returned. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you're new to my podcast, please subscribe. Press the thumbs up button. That's always really good. And if you leave any comments, that's great. I do reply to all the comments, maybe not instantly, but I do get around to replying to everybody. So thank you to everyone that reaches out. And if you are in Christchurch, today's Wednesday the 2nd. If you are in Christchurch this Saturday, I will open my shop will be open to the public, and that's from 10 till 2. And that's the last time it'll open for another 5 or 6 weeks. So thank you. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're getting lots of knitting done. That's what it's all about, right? Good knitting, beautiful yarn, good patterns, and most of all, just stay happy and stay healthy. And I will see you you'll see me in a couple of weeks, but I'll be back here seeing you in about 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks. Okay, thank you everybody. Take care. Stay safe.